morning. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, where the guiding question we ask ourselves, whatever we are facing, is, what would love do now? Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whether you have been here for many years or have come through our doors or to our screen for the first time today, whether you're here in person or watching on YouTube, our community is richer and more complete because you are here. My name is Fran Manley, and I am this morning's worship associate, and I'm pleased to be sharing the pulpit with the wonderful Charlene Montgomery, who's also a member of our Worship Associates ministry team and who will be preaching this morning. This morning, we'd like to start by taking a few minutes to thank and bless all who make possible this service, not just the few people we thank every week, but all the people who make possible this service and all of the many activities of this church. It's a reading called Beatitudes for Church Leaders in honor of how inclusion and welcoming takes all of us, by the Reverend Tess Baumberger.
Blessed are those who arrive early and open the church doors, that much may be opened for them.
Blessed are the ushers and greeters and all who practice hospitality, that they find kind welcome wherever they go.
Blessed are those who nurture and guide our children and youth, that they in turn be nurtured and guided.
Blessed are those who plan and lead worship, that they deepen spiritually.
Blessed are all who bring art and music to our church life, that they live in harmony and beauty.
Blessed are the AV specialists, that they find meaningful connections.
Blessed are those who manage finances and pay the bills. They shall be called stewards of the church.
Blessed are the coffee makers and food sharers, that they may be nourished.
Blessed are our elected leaders, that they find and practice wisdom.
Blessed are committee members, that their time and devotion be rewarded.
Blessed are those who lead small groups, that their kindness be returned.
Blessed are those who care for people in need, that their own needs be met.
Blessed are those who work toward justice, that fairness may one day flourish.
Blessed are those who care for our building, that they shall find good shelter.
Blessed are those who come to services on Sundays and who contribute to the church in a myriad of other ways, that they find fulfillment.
Blessed are those who make sure the church is safe, that they be secure all the days of their lives. We're all blessed to be worshiping in this beautiful space which rests on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee people, original nations of this land, who continue to call for justice and self-determination. Have just a couple of announcements this morning. One is from Kathy, Reverend Kathy, who says, join the new Reframers What Does Love Do Now group in the Alliance Room at 12 p.m. That's today. Last week, we established 6 subgroups according to issues that speak to your heart. There's one on immigration, anti-racism, LGBTQIA, women's rights, environmental, and communication, reframing the empire narrative to neighborhood, as Kathy preached about last week. So that's 12 o'clock today in the Alliance Room to join in that important work. And now we have a special announcement from Maria Testa.
Good morning, everyone. On Friday, Reverend Kathy and I counted 15 UUs went to a press conference done by Journey's End that was hosted by the 4 refugee resettlement agencies in Buffalo. It was very, very well attended.
A little slower.
Yes. As you probably know, all refugee resettlement has been abruptly stopped. But it's worse than that, because refugees are typically promised 90 days of support with rent and helping them get jobs, and that was also abruptly stopped. So the refugee agencies are trying to provide the services that these people are entitled to, but they have no money to do it. So they were announcing the formation of the Buffalo Refugee Partnership, and the goal is to raise $1.5 million in 30 days. And that would cover the services for this group of 731 refugees, which includes the family that we assisted in December. They already have about $500,000 from foundations in the area, but there is time for you to do your part too. If you'd like to be generous, and I hope you will be, go to the refugeepartnership.org. They only have 30 days to try to raise this money. So I'm sure that this community is supportive of that, and we can do our part. So thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Thanks, Fran.
If you look at the back of your order of service, you will find a few more current announcements. And if that's not enough announcements for you, go to our website, buffalouu.org, and you can click on this week's e-blast if you haven't received it in your email, or you can look at this month's newsletter and find out about a bunch of other things that are going on. Now, let's take a moment to deepen our connections with old friends and create connections with new ones by greeting our neighbors. And as always, if you prefer to sit quietly in your seat and listen to the happy buzz, it's always fine to do that too. Go. Oh, did you get Kathy's email about John? Okay. All right, well, we've got this, but I'll leave that.
This morning's call to worship is called Less Beautiful Without You by Reverend Tess Baumberger. This place would be less beautiful without you. Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Jew, Hindu, humanist, and earth-centered too. This place would be less beautiful without you. Your heart honed by hardship, grief, illness, seeking solace and comfort here among us. This place would be less beautiful without you. Filled with joy and gratitude, seeking celebration of life's bounty. This place would be less beautiful without you. Curious, inquisitive, asking questions, seeking transformations emerging from within. This place would be less beautiful without you. striving to resist a world that tells us we are so much less than we can truly be. This place would be less beautiful without each of us. Born here in this morning to seek heaven's fire, in each other's souls, our own flames rising to meet. Come, let us worship together.
Please rise in body or spirit as we speak together the words for lighting our chalice. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world. And please remain standing if you're comfortable and turn to hymn 318 in your gray hymnal, We Would Be One.
I now invite all the young children and all those who are young at heart to join us up here for our story for all ages. Today's story is called The Suitcase of Belonging, a Twinkle original. Hondo felt invisible as he trudged across the basketball court. His heart sank. Hondo wished that he wasn't so different and lonely. Every school day, he made his way down to the same bench on the playground where he patiently sat, hoping that someone would come and play. But sadly, no one ever came. On a windy and overcast day, Hondo spotted his teacher, Mr. Henrion, waving at him from across the playground. Hondo's eyes beckoned him to visit. The only friends that visited him were the leaves dancing around his feet as he sat and waited. At the end of recess, Mr. Henrion presented Hondo with an old, empty, blue suitcase. Mr. Henrion told Hondo that he would be the first to take it home and would need to fill it with objects that represent his heritage and something he can do well. After school, Hondo sat in his bedroom with the suitcase wide open. He gazed into the vacant space, uncertain of what to place inside. Eventually, Hondo slowly closed the suitcase and took it back to school the very next day. In the morning, Hondo quickly headed to his table. He peered over a book, watching his teacher discover the empty suitcase. At the end of the day, Amar was chosen next. The following morning, during circle time, she shared inside the suitcase, there's a metal toy car from my great-grandmother who lived in Iran. Then Amar reached into the suitcase again and pulled out a painting of a horse. She declared that she is a wonderful painter, and the students all clapped in agreement. The next morning, it was Sam's turn to share. Inside the suitcase, there's a ball made from dried plants that my dad made when he was a kid. He grew up on Yidinji country. Sam eagerly explained. That's awesome, said the students as Sam rolled the ball across the circle. Finally, he pulled out his favorite book and read really well to the class. Then it was Fleur's turn to take home the suitcase. The next morning, Fleur grinned as she revealed, inside this suitcase, there's an old French construction set and a Dutch silver spoon. My Mimi is from France, and my Opa is from Netherlands. This scarf, hang on. She paused as colorful scarves streamed out of the suitcase, causing students to giggle. My strength is making people laugh, admitted Fleur. The following Monday, thick, dark clouds hung low in the sky. Shortly after a downpour, Hondo headed to his familiar bench. As he sat and waited, a boy jumped directly into a puddle, spraying him with muddy water. Hondo closed his eyes and longed for a friend who could tell him that everything was going to be okay. Malachi was next to share. He confidently began to reveal his possessions. Inside this suitcase, there's a Fijian liku that I wear on special occasions, he explained. Wow, came cheers from around the classroom. There are photos of my best sandcastles. I'm proud of them, said Malachi. Sujin danced with excitement when Mr. Henrion handed her the suitcase. The next day, she presented, inside this suitcase, there are cute plush toys. My uncle in South Korea sends them to me. I cook delicious food. My dad and I like to use gochujang, garlic, and kimchi, shared Sujin as she opened a container of Korean pancakes. It smells yummy, called out the students. Then the old blue suitcase was once again sent home with Hondo. He returned the next day and for the second time handed over an empty suitcase. Mr. Henrion asked Hondo if he found it too tricky to choose objects. Hondo hesitated for a moment and then nervously said, when we had to flee my old country, we didn't have time to pack our belongings, so I had to leave everything behind. That's so sad, said a student standing next to Hondo. In the middle of the day, Mr. Henrion suggested to Hondo that he could draw pictures of objects and place them inside the suitcase. Hondo's face beamed as he thought about what he could share with the class. After lunch, Hondo excitedly explained, inside this suitcase, there's a drawing of a photo of my auntie. I miss her. And these are pictures of clay animals that I created. I'm good at making creatures. "You're really good at drawing, too," a student exclaimed. Dazzling rays of sunlight warmed Hondo as he sat and waited on the bench. He was watching his shadow move when, out of the corner of his eye, it began to multiply. "Hey, Hondo, I loved the drawings that you shared. Do you want to come and play with us?" asked a group of students from his class. "Yes, please," gasped Hondo. Just before he left, Hondo took one last glance at the lonely bench and smiled, knowing that he was beginning to make friends. The end. Did you have a favorite part of the story? Anybody?
My favorite part is when I realized that they all literally were wearing the same thing.
They were all wearing the same thing?
I didn't understand anything.
Well, maybe Mom and Dad could talk to you about it later and you might understand it. It's about making friends.
I liked the part where Fleur shared because she reminded me of Fleur Delacour from the Harry Potter series.
You're right. Very good. That was a great story about belonging and sharing in school. So let us now sing you to your classes.
Each week we take a good portion of our Sunday offering and give it away to a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month we are supporting the good work of the Foundry. Is Megan McNally here? You're Megan. Hi, I just sat next to you. Good. Megan McNally, the executive director, is here to tell us something about the Foundry.
I was a little late, so thank you all for having me today. As she said, I am Megan McNally, the executive director at the Foundry. I look around here and I'm just so blown away. I've been here once just by the woodworking because that's some of what we do at the Foundry. But as I was listening to the story and just being here with you, really I was thinking about the importance of community, the importance of belonging, and how each and every one of us has a special spark within ourselves. And so for me, when I started the Foundry, it was really about how do we help people bring that spark outside of themselves and share it. And the more that we share, the more that we're in community, the more that we can build each other and our networks, and we can lean on each other. And so the Foundry is a community makerspace. It's located over on the east side of Buffalo. And we are a business incubator, so any folks who are wanting to start a business, we can help them through that process. And a lot of what we do is we work with 5th grade and up in all of our different makerspaces. So woodworking, metalworking, textile, tech lab. And what I want you guys to all think about today as we talk about that community is really each one of you has a special skill, right? And we all are leaning on each other as a community. And so if you are in accounting, you still belong at the Foundry. If you have skills in public speaking, you absolutely belong to the Foundry. We teach kids all the time how to talk to each other. And I think these days we need to learn how to talk to each other a little bit more. And so if you think of any skill that you have, I'm sure if you are feeling so compelled, you are more than welcome to join us over at the Foundry. And obviously, we're always looking for different skill sets in woodworking and metalworking, in anything that is maker-related. We're always looking for instructors to support our young people. and honestly, any age. We have community open maker hours, so if you need access to tools, don't buy them. Come and hang out with us. Come and learn and share your skills. And so really just wanted to say thank you all so much for having us today. We are always happy to give a tour. On Saturdays at 11 a.m., we have walk-in tours, so you're more than welcome to come then and check us out. It's a 25,000 square foot warehouse, so there's a lot of fun tools, a lot of amazing people, and yeah, absolutely. You're just welcome to be a part of our community, and I'm so glad that I could join you as part of your community today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Whether you make your offering in the collection plate, online through our church website, or by setting up an automatic donation with your bank, your generosity is what enables our church to carry out its mission to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world.
made it. Our pastoral prayer this morning is, "Know you are not alone and discover the way our voices rise," by Reverend Gretchen Haley. For this one moment, know only that you are loved, that you are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here, here among us, here upon this earth, in your body. However tired or broken your heart may be, whatever fear, disappointment, anger you carry. For this hour, know you are not alone. Feel the presence of others surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you. Discover together the way our voices rise and fall together in harmony, in hope. Claim here a resilient freedom, the choice for love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. Let us raise up now the names of all those we rejoice with, the names of those we grieve with, the names of those we want to renew and heal relationships. Remember, each breath is a prayer. We also want to remember today John Marone had 2 falls last week. He broke his collarbone, and then in another fall, he sustained a compression fracture of his tailbone. No surgery, just painful and inconvenient as all get out. Cards, calls, and a ride to his doctor's appointments would be greatly appreciated. Let this year be one of deeper kindness and acceptance and more courageous acts of conviction for a kinder, more equitable, and sustainable world is possible.
Our reading this morning comes from the Reverend Richard Gilbert. Some of you may have met him over the years. He was minister of the First Unitarian Church of Rochester for something like 30 years and is now retired. Oops. Touched. Yeah. We are all more human than otherwise. The human race is a vast rainbow bursting into view of white and black, red, yellow, and brown. Yet for all, blood is red, the sky is blue, the earth brown, the night dark. In size and shape, we are a very varied pattern of tall and short, slim and stout, elegant and plain. Yet for all, there are fingers to touch, hearts to break, eyes to cry, ears to hear, mouths to speak. In tongue, we are a Tower of Babel, a great jumble of voices grasping for words, groping for ways to say love, peace, pity, and hope. Faiths compete, claiming the one way. Saviors abound, pointing to salvation. Not all can be right, not one. We are united only by our urge to search. Boundaries divide us, lines drawn to mark our diversity, maps charted to separate the human race from itself. Yet a mother's grief, a father's love, a child's happy cry, a musician's sound, an artist's stroke, batter the boundaries and shatter the walls. Strength and weakness, arrogance and humility, confidence and fear live together in each one, reminding us that we share a common humanity. We are all more human than otherwise.
Research shows that the need for belonging is right up there with the need for food and shelter. And yet, look at our world. It is becoming more divisive and lonelier, from people spending hours on their phones, not just young people, to continuing wars and unrest in the world and the upheaval in the United States. You all know what I'm talking about. People are fleeing their homelands, and our own government policies are eliminating support for diversity, including racial equity, the rights of LGBTQ, the rights of women, and DEI initiatives, to name just some. Now, we also have to worry about the humanitarian aid for those most in need in the world, and a president who wants to turn the Gaza Strip into a resort, while adding tariffs and actually raising the prices of many imports. Basically, all of this can be viewed as a takeover of our nation at lightning speed. We are definitely living in dangerous times. The sense of belonging is pursued by all of us, yet it is being taken away from us in so many ways. Belonging shapes who we are as a society. Now that we have taken a quick look at the doom and gloom, let's look at us. Us, right here in this church. Developing a sense of belonging, one where we feel seen, valued, and accepted for who we are, is our only way forward. In these challenging times, we need to throw each other a lifeline so that we might stay healthy and happy. As our church has been a sanctuary for others in history, Our church must now become a sanctuary for us, its members. This is where we belong. This is where we are accepted just as we are. This is our challenge. The Beatitudes to bless all those in this church is a reflection that we all belong. We contribute in our own way. This church welcomes you and believes in you. 13 years ago, I joined this church because of a great sense of community that I saw, and the involvement with the outside community. Community was and is important to me, and I sense that it is to you as well. When I entered the doors of this church, I know that I belong. I've asked myself why I feel this way. Well, I think there are a few reasons, and in sharing these reasons, I want you to think about how you fit into each of these ways of belonging. First of all, I developed relationships in this church. It didn't happen overnight, but this became a place where I was heard and where there was a mutual respect, something that was lacking in my experiences as a religious sister. Secondly, I was encouraged to participate. I was encouraged to join in at whatever capacity I was comfortable with. Diversity was recognized, and it was clear to me that this community is rich in diversity, at least in many aspects. And thirdly, because we are human, conflicts are inevitable, but this church community does not shy away from addressing them, no matter how big or small. These are reasons why I joined this church and why I stay. Belonging has the power to transform, both individually and as a community. A sense of shared purpose that is part of belonging can and does drive meaningful change. Although we may not be able to change our country right now or help create a more compassionate world, it is important we continue to participate in protests and support those in our community who are losing their jobs and those who are losing services. We can move our church forward in solidarity, in helping every single person who enters our doors to have a sense of belonging, of hope. What does belonging to this church community mean for each of us, every one of you? I have often heard some of you say that we need to make our church more diverse with people of color, because look around you, well, you get the picture. But I want to challenge you to think about how we make a person of color feel like they belong. It is not about surrounding them and saying, welcome, welcome. It is about really making them feel they belong the same way I was welcomed, including their culture, not changing it and expecting them to fit in. February is Black History Month. The theme is African Americans and labor. The history of African Americans in our country is so rich in history, yet often played down. The struggles of our Black communities continue as they too long for belonging and inclusion. Although strides have been made, there is still so far to go. If you are unable to attend an event that has been planned for this month, perhaps you could consider going online and reading something about Black history. We need to help everyone be heard and seen as they are, not as we think they should be. A quote from Angel Kyoto Williams Sensei says, "Inclusivity is not how do we make you a part of what we are, but how do we become more of what you are." I believe this is the future of becoming more diverse in every way. A quick true story from my convent days. I know you all love hearing those. Although I believe this story was meant to be a prank or a joke, it really is quite offensive when you think about it and when you hear it. The older sisters used to tell a story about a young black girl who entered the convent. Now, mind you, up until this point, the community had been completely white Polish women. After a few months of being with the sisters who had entered at the same time as this young black woman decided to put white talcum powder in her bed to make her white. Now, obviously, these sisters knew that wouldn't work, but what was the driving force behind doing this? It would be like putting cocoa powder in a white person's bed to make them black. How would that make each person here feel? Not accepted, not included, not belonging. She eventually left the convent. Now, I know, as a non-Polish person who entered this same convent, how difficult it was to just fit in. But that's not what belonging is about. Perhaps the children in our story for all ages can be a lesson in belonging. The kids in this story allowed each other to share who they were, what they liked, and part of their culture. They accepted each other without exception once they got to know about each other. They all belonged. The founding fathers of our country knew the importance of belonging, although history has shown it was not without challenges for every group of immigrants. Emma Lazarus wrote a poem titled The New Colossus. It's a reflection on the Statue of Liberty and worth reflecting on a bit. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Unless you are born Native American, then our ancestors were part of the many who came from other countries and struggled to belong. We stand on their shoulders, and it is our responsibility to help all cultures feel welcome in our church. I am so proud of our church when we put together a home for a new family arriving in the United States. Welcoming a family is what helps us connect with other cultures, helps us to realize what it means to belong to the human race. We all have the same needs: to be loved, to be welcomed, to belong. No matter if we talk about race or ethnicity or gender, we are all more human than otherwise. We heard in our reading, yet a mother's grief, a father's love, a child's happy cry, a musician's sound, an artist's stroke batter the boundaries and shatter the walls. Strength and weakness, arrogance and humility, confidence and fear live together in each one, reminding us that we share a common humanity. Elizabeth Gilbert said, "The most peaceful people that I know, and the most wise people that I know, are the ones who have created enough internal space to be able to allow all the parts of themselves to coexist despite the contradictions. So they have room for their creativity. They also have room for their fear. They have room for their dignity. They also have room for their shame. They have room for the parts of themselves that are glorious and divine and wonderful. And they have room for the parts of themselves that are petty and jealous and ridiculous, right? Like they create this big, huge auditorium of landscape inside of themselves. They don't kick any parts out, because guess what? You can't. If this applies to us as individuals, can it not apply to communities, our community, our church? Each person's humanity is accepted. When we can embrace who we are instead of who we or others think we should be, then we begin to sense our own worthiness and realize that we belong. We belong first to the human race, then to all the groups we have chosen, and the groups who have chosen us. You have chosen this church, and this church has chosen you. You belong. By recognizing the significance of belonging and working toward that end, creating our church to be inclusive and supportive, we can build a future where everyone feels valued, connected, and that they belong. Let us pause for just 2 minutes for a quiet meditation as you view the slides on the screen. Let us rise as you are willing and able, and let us sing. Number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Oh,
Please remain standing as we say together the words for extinguishing our chalice. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
You hardly knew how hungry you were when you gathered in and received the welcome that invited you to enter entirely. Nothing of you found foreign or strange, nothing of your life that you were asked to leave behind or carry in silence or in shame. You began to breathe again, you learned to sing, but the deal with this blessing is that it will not leave you alone. It will ask you to leave and become the sanctuary that you have found. Go with peace, and let the church say, Amen.